I don't ever plan on missing things, but sometimes I do. And I'll tell you early on, those used of our days. So today we're breaking down why we do this, so why some people do that.
Why are you pointing finger at me?
And stop making each other feel bad for being human.
Hey, Blissful friends, welcome back, you guys, to another episode of the Blissology Podcast, where we keep it real about love, about marriage, about relationship, okay? I am your girl. You guys already know who I am. Your girl, your host, Cece. And as always, I have the one and only, all right, baby, what's going on? My husband, my baby daddy.
You got that right. You got that right.
My co-host.
Hey, this is Will, and welcome back, everybody. We are so glad you're tuning in today. If this is your first time tuning in, this is a weekly podcast where we keep it real, like Sissy mentioned.
Yes.
We keep it relatable. We keep it fun.
Yes.
And we'll come to you guys every Saturday. So as always, before we get into the topic of the day, we'd like to share our Bliss Moment with you.
Y'all, my Bliss Moment is, I feel like it's our Bliss Moment because I went to Naples for the very first time. Okay.
We did.
My aunt's birthday was last weekend. It was like a surprise birthday party. So she hasn't seen me in a long time. Okay. So the birthday girl, I knew her very well. She actually, my mom, my aunt, my mom's sister always said I look just like her. And when she was younger,
I didn't see it.
When she was younger, when I was born, they said I look exactly like her. And then when my daughter was born, my brother said she looks exactly like my aunt. And I do see it because I compare the pictures. I see me and I see my daughter Isabel and I see my aunt. We do kind of look alike. I see the resemblance. But anyways, it was great. I get to see the side of my dad's family. You know, I knew some of my cousins and some people that was there that I was not introduced to, and I have no idea what they were, so it wasn't my fault. But my aunt, she was great. I have this love for this lady. Mm-hmm. I saw her when she walked in and they surprised her. Mm-hmm. You know, my heart was like, you know, you could tell when you really love someone, you know, a family member, when you really have like this love for them, you can feel your heart.
Yeah, you got to stay in touch with her more often.
I do talk to her.
Oh, okay. So she's the one you talk to.
Yes, okay. Yes. But the other aunt, I'm like, okay, I see you vibing, but there's always that aunt. Yeah. There's always one. But it was a great time. The kids had a great time. Went to the pool when my brother was there, you know, with his family. All 8 of us were up there and we had a great time. You know, hubby took naps and naps and naps. Okay.
I needed to.
So it was great. It was great. It was great. That's all that matters. The kid had a great time. You know, we had a great time.
It is good being with family. It's good spending time with family. The kids had fun. And it's the summer, so we're looking for any activities that we can do to get the kids involved. And I know between you and your sister-in-law, you're planning on other activities to do. So, hey, listen, I'm all for it. I don't mind driving, so I don't care where we go.
Well, locally you're a driver.
Or away, I'll drive.
Take an Uber.
Anyway, so this was our Bliss Moment. So, hey, listen, I'm hoping that whatever you do in the summer, make it fun.
Make it fun and stay safe.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Listen, fun and safety, those two goes together.
That's right.
So now let's get into the topic of the day. So today's episode is simple, but it's important.
It is important.
We're talking about honest mistake. You know, when your partner forgets to call.
Yeah.
Or when they miss something important.
Okay.
Right? Mm-hmm. And you get upset.
Okay. Why are you pointing finger at me?
This is coming from experience, you know, and you know, it's crazy that this happens more than we realize.
True.
You know, sometimes small things gets blown way out of proportion. You know, someone forgets something. Mm-hmm. Now the whole vibe, the whole mood is off. And sometimes it's just a mistake. And I'll tell you, the majority of the time, it's just a mistake. I'll take me, for instance. I don't ever plan on missing things, but sometimes I do. And I'll tell you early on, those used of our days. So today we're breaking down why we do this. So why some people do that.
Why are you pointing finger at me?
And stop making each other feel bad for being human. Well, human, we make mistakes, we screw up.
Why do I feel like this episode is going to be a lot of pointing fingers at me? Okay? I don't know why, but I feel like you're going to be pointing fingers at me.
Oh, you know why? I'll tell you why. Because someone is good at making... Well, I must say, I'll be honest. she's gotten way, way better.
Well, yeah, that's how
way better. She's learned, she's grown, but I'll tell you, this was a struggle.
Listen, let me just start by saying this, okay? We've all been there. Whether you, me, whoever else, we've all been there.
So now you're pointing at me?
Well, yes. Like I said, we all been there. Mistakes happen. You actually do that too, baby. I don't know why you make it seem like as if
Well, it's easier for me to say you have done it than for me to say that I have done it. But yes, this is something that happens to all of us.
We've all been there. It's just an honest truth. We all have been there.
Just some of us are a little bit harder than others.
Well, then again, when it comes to women, we more like, we keep track. We make sure we keep an eye on things. Like, when, for instance, when your partner forgets to text you good morning or didn't bring home what you asked for.
Mm-hmm.
I've actually, there's been many, many times where you forget things that I've asked you to grab at the store.
No, here's the thing. There's sometimes I forget things that she thought I should have gotten, but never mentioned it to me. But I got home without it. And she's like, I thought you were getting that. I'm like, I didn't know that she wanted that.
You should automatically know that. Okay, she needs this.
Here's what we've done. When it comes in the subject of getting things, this is what we've done lately. Actually, this been happening since COVID because I've been running a lot of those errands. She sends me a text and you'll see me walking around the store going.
And there's sometimes even when I send you a text, you still miss something from the list, right? And yes, back in the days, I would give him a hard time. I would really be like, babe, really? It was on the phone. Like, I text you what we needed. How come you didn't get it? Because remember, when COVID happened, 2020, we were like, a lot of the wives, we were home sitting the husband out on them streets, okay? We were sitting y'all out there, because y'all stronger, fight this thing out there, and then we stay home with the kiddos. So even there's time where I'm like, babe, it was on the text, on the list that I sent to you, yet you still didn't get it.
Sometimes those lists are so long, you could potentially miss something. But it's not like I wanted to not get the stuff. I overlooked it. Send me a list of 20 items. I'm a guy walking through a store. I'm bound to miss something. Hey, listen, but there's little things. I'm talking about, your spouse didn't text you in the morning to say good morning, or maybe they were going somewhere, they didn't text you to let you know that they arrived. Mm-hmm. Those are little things that sometimes we miss. Mm-hmm. But, it's very easy for partners to feel like it's a rejection, or they feel like they're not being loved, or worse, they feel like you don't care.
Yeah, and I know, why are you looking at me? I do. See, I'm telling you guys, I feel like this episode is going to be all about me. And I won't be honest, sometimes I do blow up,
for no reason.
Over things that's not even that deep. Come on, ladies. You can relate with me right now, right? We're going to keep it real. We do blow up over things that's like, really, Cece, was it even that deep for you to be like all act up? I know my mom does that all the time, blow up over things that's not even like, I think that's where I get it from. I'm going to blame her.
I don't know how your dad do it.
And I know my daughter, my oldest, get the same.
Yeah, I'm trying to snap that out of her.
Yeah, so we do blow up out of proportion for no reason. Sometimes it is not that deep, okay? It is not that deep.
It's never that deep.
It is that deep to us, but sometimes it's not that deep. We need to check our own self and be like, you know what? It wasn't even that deep. Because I want to say this. One of my friends, of course, his girl was really mad because he didn't call first thing in the morning, which he normally does, except for that one time. He happened to be busy, right? And he didn't text. And of course, she got upset. And now this man calls every morning, every single day.
Man, he's probably under intense pressure, man. I got a call. He probably have it on his calendar.
Yeah, but it's because he forgot. Now that one time turned out to be where she's starting yelling and acting up and making feel like, you know what?
You don't love me.
Make him feel bad. Make him feel like you don't love me anymore. Like, come on, ladies, we gotta do better. Yes, if you do this to me, I'm going to give you grace. I'm like, you know what?
No, listen, I think you are grown. I mean, you've grown a whole lot.
This was a grown person, babe.
But I'm talking about mentally, in the way that you react to things. I think you've gotten to the point where you've matured, where you understand certain things does not really warrant those type of reactions, right? Mm-hmm. I tell you, I made it a habit to just text her whenever I get to work in the morning. Some morning, the text happened at 10 o'clock, but I've been at work since 8, and I don't hear about it.
And
But I tell you, 10 years ago, I would have heard about
But
them.
here's the thing. Some morning you don't text, and I'll text you and I'll say, babe, did you get there safe? Have a great day at work.
Yes.
There's been some mornings when I know it's raining or if it has to go in or I know you forget. And then I'll just I hope you get there safe. Have a great day. And of course you reply.
And I mean, this is the grown-up way of dealing with this,
Listen,
right?
if this was like prior to this CC right here, I'll be like, so you don't love me no more? You don't text? Actually, as a matter of fact, this happened recently. It was on your birthday.
Yes.
It was on your birthday.
What did I not do?
It was on your birthday, and I don't know why your text was very... Y'all, I don't know why, but I feel like his text was very moody.
I must have been doing something when I texted.
I was like, you had a meeting. You had to go to a meeting on your birthday for the very first time. You always take that day off.
Okay.
And I think
So the
I was
text was
supposed
moody?
either I was supposed to get him some breakfast or prep something for his birthday, but I didn't a nice dinner. And I was like, why am I getting a vibe from the text? You know how when you're reading a text and you can feel something is wrong. When you know, you know.
And there was nothing wrong.
There was nothing wrong. I'm reading the text. It didn't seem as if you were
upset or something.
You were sweet. You were like caring. The text was very dry and bye. And I was like, why does the text feel so moody? And automatically I started to feel like, did I do something wrong? What did I say this morning? Was I supposed to do something?
See, old habits just creep up on you.
Is it because I didn't make him breakfast? Because I know you normally do a shake in the morning.
Yes.
And I was like, and throughout the whole day, you guys, my morning was like out of whack. I text him. He was just like high and dry. Bye, girl. And of course,
I was in a meeting all day and I was like sneaking my phone in to just listen, we don't always realize that we acting this way. And I'm glad you caught yourself.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, for instance, I have a certain way that I text. My words always plan and to make sure that there's, she feels like it's me texting. But that day, obviously, I was in a meeting. I just quickly respond to the text.
You sure did. It was dry.
What we've been doing is like we're reacting to patterns. Mm-hmm. And when the pattern is broken,
right,
you thinking that I'm pissed, I'm upset. You start giving it meaning. Is it because you didn't make me breakfast?
Yeah,
man, I got up. I got my shake. It was good to go.
I was like,
I didn't intend to be at work on my birthday, but there was an important meeting I had to get to.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm gonna go to that meeting, get as much as I can, and stay focused because I know that. And I was taking a few days off after, so I know that. Listen, I need to get what I need to get from that meeting, so I can pass it on to my staff, and then go out on a few days vacation.
I was just at home worried.
So this is what sometimes we have to check ourselves.
Yeah.
Because we reacting to patterns.
Right.
Like, yes, I have a certain ways that I word my text when I text Cece. And those texts that I responded were not put in those same. And there was nothing wrong with me, but she was there tripping over.
I'm not gonna lie. I was really, really tripping. I was like, did I do something wrong?
She started writing a story in her head.
I sure did.
I
sure did. I did.
I must be upset that day.
I said you must not care about me. I did because we do that. It's just like us automatically goes into that mode where we feel like, man, what happened? And you start rethinking of what happened throughout the morning or throughout the day.
That's the story that you start writing in your head. You give things meaning, and you know what? I was just busy.
I know you weren't thinking about me for sure.
Yeah, I was busy. I was focusing on that meeting, and obviously, when it's a closed-in meeting. There were like 20 of us in there. We're on a big round table. Me pulling out a phone and texting. Yeah. You know how that looks in a meeting, right?
I know. But I wasn't texting you constantly. I know you text me and I respond.
Maybe like 2 replies. It wasn't a whole lot of text, but she drew all that meaning.
I did.
From 2 short texts.
Listen, your text was very moody. That's what I'm saying. You had some attitudes on your text. And I know one thing I want to say is this is our problem when it comes to this generation. I'm a millennial and I know we have this issue. We are very emotionally wired to expect.
Yeah, emotionally unstable, more like. They expect things to be perfect, right? Things has to always be consistently the same,
right?
Way.
Or high standard.
It's more like emotionally unstable.
Okay. Yes. And when we don't get it, we actually get upset. We flipped over things. And I think
the fuses of these people are really short.
of this people. Who are these people?
The millennials,
You also
the
part
new
of the
generation.
people. You also
No, I'm an
millennial.
exception. I'm an exception to
You
this.
also millennial.
Listen, we've gotten used to being disappointed, and I understand. Life has disappointment, and sometimes we don't know how to pause and say, wait,
We don't.
maybe this wasn't that serious.
Especially for us ladies. We don't know how to pause. We don't know how to pause.
Listen, the thing happened. You already
We don't know how to pause. Exactly.
So, but it's important that we take a step back
True.
and ask, is it all that serious? Do I need to really spend all that energy on that stuff? See, I'm the type of person who believe if I'm going to get upset over something, I'm going to give it energy. And I don't want to give energy to that because it's wasted energy.
I agree.
I achieved nothing by getting upset.
I know, but baby, it's our emotions. And sometimes we have hormones, we have emotions, we have a lot going on. So therefore, when this happened, we automatically goes into that mode.
One thing we got to learn is that when you let things go, that doesn't mean that you're weak, though. And I know in this society, if someone attack you and you decided to turn away, yes, people may seem that you're weak. But no, just because you let go of something, that doesn't mean you're weak. All it means is that you're wise at picking what you give energy to.
Oh my God. I was going to say this. This also happened where the person called me and then it was like, you know what? I hang up the call and I said, I'm not going to call, I'm not going to call back. Literally. And then I was like, you know what? You should call. You should call because what's going to happen is if you don't call, then it's going to blow up out of proportion. It's going to make it worse.
Yeah.
It's going to make it worse.
So you pick your battle.
Yeah.
So there's certain things you have to say, okay, is it worth it for me to give it that energy or to let it become that?
Yeah.
And sometimes avoiding conflict is also not a weakness.
Yeah.
It just shows that you're mature.
Yeah.
Listen, there are fights that are not worth it.
Yeah.
I'm very quick at moving on.
I'm not.
I move on so quickly. Not really abandoning people or ignoring people, but I can move past situations very quickly.
I agree. You are like that. I think I'm learning to choose my peace over arguing with people, unless if it's my mother, then we're going to go at it over.
That I need you to learn to get beyond that too.
That's my best
friend. So now I'm sitting there, I'm like, okay.
We had one.
This conversation is exhausting. I don't see where they go.
We had one. What was it, baby? On Wednesday
Maybe
night?
2 days ago, 3 days ago.
We had one.
I was sitting there like, really?
Unless if it's my mother, that's not going to go away. We had one 2 days ago, I think 2 nights ago. It was like around 10 o'clock. I'm just calling her to wish her good night. And then
we were watching some on TV. And before you know it, the conversation was so like irritating to me. It was not even in it. Like, really? So now I'm finding myself not being able to focus on what I was doing because they're just going at each other.
We're just going at it. And then the morning comes, good morning, mom. And it was like, good morning, and then it's like, and then we're like, we love you. And I was like, I love you.
Yeah, and I like the fact that you guys don't hold things against each other, which is good.
Yes.
Because for the types of arguments I know you've been having,
oh my God.
if you were holding things on each other, you wouldn't be mother and daughter.
That's why my mom always says to not get in between her daughter.
No. Why do you think I'm like?
She
I'm
said
like,
the same thing to you. She always said that to my dad. She's like, whenever me and Cece are talking, do not get in between us because we're gonna be like as if nothing happened because that's just how we are. It's just how we are.
And yes, I mean you have that relationship with your mom, which is good. But I said that there's something that sometimes we don't talk about enough. Feelings are valid.
They are.
What you feel is valid. However, that doesn't mean it is right or it is fact.
Yay. Listen.
Right?
You're right.
So, and also, it doesn't always mean whatever you think this person did, that they did it on purpose.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Not only it's not fact, it's not that person is doing it to hurt you.
Yeah.
So, and this is where you have to really sit back and evaluate your feeling.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean all feelings are not facts. Sometimes they could be, but many times they're not actual facts. They're just how you feel for the moment.
Okay. Yes, you're right. Feelings are valid, but they are not facts, as you mentioned earlier. Okay. Just because, you, all listeners.
Or you.
Why are you pointing at me? Y'all, like I said from the beginning, this podcast is all about me. I truly feel like, why did I come up with this topic? But then again, there's a reason. Because of my husband, feel like this is good for him. Okay?
Oh, yes.
He's putting me out there. Yes.
I'm feeling this.
You're feeling this, huh? You enjoying this.
I am enjoying this.
You're
And
enjoying my
I'm glad
pain.
that you mentioned that. Just because you feel ignored, that doesn't mean that I'm actually ignoring you.
Mm-hmm.
No. And so listen, this is a moment of admission on Sis's part, of confession.
Hey, listen, I don't know where you're going with this.
But yes, there's a big difference. There's a big difference between what you feel and what's actually happening. And we confuse that all the time in our relationship. You know, I might do something and Sissy, like, why would you do that? And I'm like, I wasn't even thinking about it that way. Right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we don't always pause to ask, did they mean to hurt me?
Here's the thing. We don't. I'm speaking for me, and I'm probably speaking to some of the ladies out there too, because we automatically start, going to that
Defensive
mode.
or
Yes.
blame throwing mode.
Yes, that defensive
or making
mode.
them feel bad mode.
We
Or make them
automatically
feel like they don't
and
get
it's
things
not-
right mode.
Well, that too.
All those modes.
We go into a lot of modes, okay? And we have
That
moods
moody,
for the
that
reason.
moody mode.
That moody text message, and we can't help it. Sometimes it's just something that in our nature that just automatically goes into that moody mode, that really defensive mode. For me, I'm very defensive. You're gonna attack me, I'm like, what? I'm going to guard my heart, me, protecting me. So therefore, yes, I'm going to through all that.
I can understand if you're guarding your heart against real threat. But if I miss something, you don't have to get all Rambo.
Like I said before, we just go into that. And it's just our nature.
You gotta remember, most people aren't trying to disappoint their partner. Listen, there's never a day that I do something just to hurt Cece. That's just not in me. Life gets crazy. Things happen. The truth is, we all mess up sometimes. We forget things. I forget a lot of things. That's why I rely a lot on my
I don't
texts.
give you a hard time anymore.
No, you don't. But man, for the amount of hard time you've given me in the past, I'm still trying to make up for those, right? But, we forget things. I know I have. Still this day, I'm still forgetting stuff. But Sis is very good at, we'll be having a conversation in the car and I'm getting to the store to grab it. She's like, okay, do this and this. And I'm like, you know what? Let me write. She's like, no, don't worry about it. I'm going to send you a text. Before I even walk into the store, they go this text. And I've learned, how you get the text? You get the preview and it shows you a couple of items or you see a couple of lines. I've learned that. Open that text. Because there's been a few occasions where I look, okay, that's all we need. And that's just like that 3 items that shows up. I went in and grabbed them and I got him. Was like, there were all this stuff. No, I know that's all there was. He's like, did you open the text? And I'm like, oh, snap.
Yeah.
So I opened the text just to make sure I could see the full text. And before I leave the store, I looked to see, because now you can edit your text on the iPhone. Make sure there was no edit to that text. I don't miss something. And if there is something that's not there, I do call and let her, listen, I can't find that stuff. They don't have it. So she doesn't think that she doesn't think that I forget it. And then when I get home and lie, I don't lie. If I forget
don't lie,
something,
baby. You do lie.
If I forget something, I forget it. I'm gonna come out there and say, listen, I forgot it. I didn't see it, or I saw it in the midst of it. But we forget stuff. We lose track of time. That happens often when I'm working on my project. She thinks that I'm just taking my sweet time, but earlier in the year, there was a project I needed to do something in my car, and I like working in my car. That's my therapy. And she asked how long it was, and I said, that's probably gonna take a day. It took me 3 days. Not that I intended to. I ran into some issues, and it took long. She thought, she didn't think, but if this was 10 years ago, she would have thought that I purposely got into other project that made it take long.
I would.
Which I didn't. I ran into some issues.
I would think you don't care about me.
We bound to run into things we didn't plan. And it's not because we don't care. It's because things happen. Life happens.
I agree. And we have to grow. We gotta get on with it, right?
Absolutely.
Get with the program. A lot of us, we feel like, I think we just, I know there's a lot of growth when it comes to me.
Oh, absolutely.
I've changed.
You have.
I'm more like I want my peace now than over drama. I think I would rather just not really fight you over things. If you forget about something, I'm like, you know what? It's fine. Next time we'll get it. But of course, prior, 20 years ago, I would probably, like you said earlier, give you a hard time. But we have to learn to move on, ladies.
Till this day, there are certain things that happen. I'm like getting home. I'm like, oh shoot, I'm probably gonna run into something. And then I got home, I ran into nothing. And I'm like a bit shocked.
I am my mother's child, so therefore, that's just who I am. Okay.
Yeah.
I am who I am.
But I think Cece's learned to give me grace. And I've learned to give her grace as well.
Yes, I have learned.
You know, everything does not like to feel like I'm out to get you, and doesn't have to feel like you out to get me. Because at the end, we in this together, right?
Yes.
And we're not keeping score on what's happening there, because there's no way we can really continue to build our relationship, build our love, if we're like picking at every little thing.
Every little thing. And I think it's so important for the married couples, whether if you're married, if you're newlywed, or been married for 20, 40
or even
years.
if you're just dating.
20, 40 years, you guys. I think the reason why I'm saying married couples, because sometimes when you've been with someone for a long time, you kind of like manipulate them a little bit, because you're like, okay, you shouldn't do this, because you're not going anywhere, right? They're not going anywhere, so they might as well just get with the program. But I'm like, give them grace. Give your husband grace and give your wife grace.
Very important.
It is so important. It is so important, because that's how we grow. Listen, you didn't get this thing, you didn't call me this morning, it's fine. You said you were going to call me, you didn't call. I know you at work, and I know things happen. I'm not going to give you a hard time for that.
Yeah.
And I think it's so important, because we all have our responsibilities in, when it comes to things that we have to do. If you're not able to do something, and it's okay.
Yeah. And marriage is not about being perfect. Sometimes we kind of always expecting to always go the way that we accept.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
I think it's more about, being able to see your partner. Where they're good and where they're bad, and just make sure that they know that you're still there for them.
Yeah.
They missed this today, they screwed up here. No, hey, listen, how do we fix this?
Listen, I'm not perfect. And I know I still have a lot of stuff to work on. I know I still have, a lot of work to do.
Yeah, but she's worked quite a bit so far.
I've worked, since 2020, Lord geez, 2019, I feel like. This been 5 years now. This has been.
She's gone through some major changes.
Goodness. And I am thankful to my Lord Savior. Okay. I am very, very thankful.
I know.
But seriously, you guys. So now, babe, let's talk about this part, because I used to do it too, you guys. I used to do this. I think we talked about this earlier. When you mess things up, and instead of talking it through, okay, I would throw shades, I would throw attitude, I would ignore him, right?
Yeah.
There's time where I'm like,
and the worst thing is sometimes I'm not even sure what I did.
And it's not just you. I feel like there's a lot of the husbands out there who feel the same way, where we ladies, we kind of like, when they messed up for just that tiny little thing, we throw so much things at them, right? But then we forget to know that this is just a human mistake, as opposed to just make it seem like, oh my God, they're so wrong, they're so bad.
It's very easy for people to forget all the good that you've done, and they cast a big shadow of that little thing that you've messed up. But it happens.
Yeah.
Let me say this to men, to the fellas listening, especially black men. We were raised to be providers. We were raised to be protectors. But nobody really taught us how to mess up and still feel safe and still feel in love.
Yeah.
Because sometimes when we screw up, there's so much weight that we put on this, and we take it upon ourselves, because we feel like we already disappointing the person that we're with.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And I would say the same thing for the ladies too, right? Especially if you are someone who's so used to being disappointed, right?
Yeah.
And it's so easy for us to jump into conclusion. Like, here we go again. He forgot the milk. He forgot the eggs, But maybe, you guys, he just forgot. And that's all it is. Nothing else, right? We automatically go into, man, you did this on purpose. Why didn't you grab this? And why didn't you grab that? And it's just like, we literally make him feel little.
Yeah, and we have to stop assuming the worst in people.
We do that a lot. I actually do that a lot. I do, not assuming the worst, but I do.
You've seen, he's doing this out of evilness. He's doing this to despise me. No. And this is where it's important to start asking questions like, hey, I noticed you didn't do this, or I noticed you didn't pick this up. Is everything okay? Did you forget? Instead of, wow, so you don't care, huh?
That was me back then.
Yeah, because, and again, I think I mentioned that way earlier, just because.
Wow, we've had those moments, baby.
We've
had those moments. early on in our marriage. We've had those moments. Like, wow.
That you've grown.
So you just don't care, huh? You just gonna get off work. You know I love Starbucks. You're not gonna stop by and grab me a drink on your way on Saturday. You just don't care. That was me.
And when they don't realize that, man, I didn't want to be at work on Saturday, but I had to work. So I needed to get home as quick as I can. And sometimes, well, not recently, but I didn't even eat anything. So I didn't get home to eat something. Let alone stop by Starbucks. But, not everything we do is to hurt the other person. So we got to learn to stop assuming the worst.
So how do we fix this, sir?
Well, all right, here's what I say. And those are some of the things that I did. And obviously we've done in our household just to make sure that we can flip this thing around. And so far, it's worked for us.
Yeah.
You got to remember the person you're with. Their heart. Because we all know who we're with. We all know how we love each other.
Yeah.
And one slip up should not erase all the good things we've done. Like when we sit down, we looked at all the things we've done, all the hard time we've gone together, how we've supported each other. Just because I miss this today.
Right.
That doesn't mean I don't love you. So learn the person's heart whom you're with.
Yeah, and I think I want to say you got to also lead with grace.
Absolutely.
That is so important, ladies, and I'm still working on that. And I think a lot of us need to work on lead with grace, not with our mind.
Yes, so we got to learn to pause before reacting, right? Start asking instead of accusing, right? And learning how to separate the moment from the person. Because sometimes we take the two and look at them. This happens right now. This is you. No, this is something that happened.
Yeah.
It's not me. We can fix the something. It's not me that's broken. Right? And we got to learn to check our emotion. I know earlier I said some of us are emotionally unstable. We got to learn to check our emotion. When something happened, pause and ask yourself, am I reacting to what they did or am I reacting to how I feel? Big difference.
Okay, sir. Okay.
Big difference.
It is.
You got to learn to start saying things like, hey, I noticed you didn't call this morning, or I noticed you didn't do this. I noticed you did this that way. Is everything okay? That's the ask.
Open up communication.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Because when you ask like this, hey, listen, if I'm coming home and I got home and I didn't grab your Starbucks, you say, hey, baby, I noticed you didn't stop by Starbucks. Is everything okay? My response, maybe, baby, I forgot. This was a long day. I was trying to get home because I'm hungry.
Or I'm tired.
But if you come and says, man, I love Starbucks and you don't care. What are you doing? I'm going to get pissed. So learn to ask, but ask in a way that allows you to have
a conversation.
Yes. Because sometimes there's where we ask, we're already blaming.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So
which causes a conflict, though.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And next thing you know, you start arguing with your partner over something so simple.
The goal is peace, not punishment, right? In our marriage, and that's something we've been practicing in our marriage, is the moment we actually stop looking for reason to be offended, reason to get upset, and start looking for reasons to understand each other, it started making a big difference in the way we do things. That's true. Because I tell you, if you're looking for reason to get pissed off, you will find them. However, if you're looking for a reason to really see where your partner's coming from, you will also find them.
Yeah, I agree.
So look for the one that helps you build.
Yeah, and I think you got to choose your relationship over your ego.
Oh, you're telling me that.
I'm telling you that, baby.
Yes.
I'm telling you that.
Yes.
And I know we get so quick at cancel someone who's been trying so hard. Right? I know I do give you grace, and I know that's something that we've been working on. Of course, been married for 15 years. Yes, we gotta choose our relationship over our ego. That's not just for you, that's for me and for all of us who wants our relationship to grow. Because a lot of time, you guys, we let our ego just take over, especially when it comes to the men, because men has an ego and they won't back down on that. Seriously.
We are who we are. But I
just
think,
like we are who we are too.
But I think when you approach things with understanding and maturity, you learn to do things differently. And thank God we've done things in our marriage, in our relationship, that allow us to move beyond those points.
Yes.
But I'll tell you, it's not simple. It's not easy. It took a lot of arguing, a lot of moody moments, a lot of
swallow your pride and move on.
Yes. But I'll say for those of you listening, if you take nothing from today's episode, I want you to remember
I hope
this.
not.
I want you to remember this. Love requires grace.
True.
Very important. Understand that your partner is going to mess up.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to forget a date. They may even forget your anniversary date, right? They're going to miss a call or they're going to forget to call you.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to say something the wrong way.
Yeah.
Right? But if their heart is in the right place, and only you would know that, don't make him feel like they're the enemy. Because if you're constantly making them feel like they're the enemy, they will become the enemy.
Yeah.
And there's no way you can build a relationship with an enemy.
Yeah.
So grace, very important.
Yeah, because we're all out here trying to be better.
Man, that's all life is about. Every day we try to be a little bit better than the way we were the day before. We're all trying to grow. And the truth is, none of us wants to feel like we're constantly failing the person we love. So choose grace.
Yeah.
Choose patience. Remember, it takes time for things to happen. It takes time to build a relationship. And choose peace. There's no way you can grow if you're constantly operating in chaotic moments.
Yeah.
And if you're the one who's being blamed constantly, talk about it. Don't shut down.
Yeah.
I know sometimes it may be easier that, you know what, you keep getting on my case. I'm just going to do it. No.
Yeah.
Don't shut down.
Right.
Have open communication with your partner regarding how you feel.
Yes.
Let them know. Because they may not even realize how you're feeling on the inside. No, come out and express how you're feeling. Real love can handle hard conversation. And I'll tell you, we have had unusually long and hard conversations.
And sometimes I don't want them, but he's like, we're going to have those conversations.
We have to, because it's important. Because at the end of the day, we in this thing together.
Right.
Listen, every night I go to sleep, you're right there. Every morning I wake up, you're right there. None of us are going anywhere. So we might as well just deal with it.
Yeah.
Right? So we're in this together. Yeah. And we got to remember, marriage is not about perfection. We are going to screw up. It's about making progress.
Yeah.
We have an issue today. We deal with it. Tomorrow we'll handle it a little bit better.
Yeah.
Eventually that becomes a non-issue. Like there's a lot of things early on that Cece and I that was like headaches for us. We have to worry about them anymore.
Yeah, they were really headaches for us.
And we've grown past them. Right. So as you progress in your relationship, just know that you're ultimately working towards building a relationship that you can feel proud of, building a life with the person you love.
Yes.
And yes, if they do something that you didn't expect, believe me, I don't think they're doing it to hurt you. Now, if you've done something to deserve it, they could be doing something to hurt you. Now, that's between you and your partner.
That's right.
Just know that you're building something and it's going to take hard work to build it.
That's right.
So listen, guys, we appreciate you rocking with us today on the Blissology Podcast. And if this episode hits home for you, I don't know where home is, but if it hits home for you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. And leave us a comment. We'd like to hear if you've ever been blamed for something that you didn't mean to do or something that you didn't even do. Because that does happen sometimes. As always, let's keep the conversation going. And don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe, so you never miss a Saturday with us. Until then, everybody, take care.
Bye.
Peace.